Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's presentation. Today's focus is on counseling individuals with disabilities and its critical importance within multicultural counseling. We will pull from several key sources, beginning with counseling the culturally diverse, then confronting injustice without compromising the truth, the ACA Code of Ethics, and finally the AAC Code of Ethics. Also, grace for the afflicted. Together, we will look at why counseling individuals with disabilities must be a central concern in multicultural practice, essential skills and models counselors should apply, and finally, some areas of agreement and critique based on our course readings. Okay, let's begin. Starting with the importance of counseling individuals with disabilities to multicultural counseling. It's important to understand that disability is deeply intertwined with issues of race, gender, poverty, and justice. According to demographic data, African American and American Indian populations have significantly higher rates of disability compared to white Americans. Women with disabilities face higher rates of depression and abuse. And people with disabilities are more likely to experience poverty, unemployment, and social exclusion. We can already see some injustices with this data. So, why is this important? Well, for starters, multicultural counseling is about recognizing and dismantling systems of oppression, including ableism in those systems. As Sue explains, we must reject the deficit view of disability and understand disability within its broader social, historical, and systemic context. The codes from the ACA under C.5, which discuss non-discrimination, specifically forbid discrimination based on disability. The AACC Code of Ethics under Section 1-121 and 1-430 commands counselors to honor the dignity and full humanity of clients with disabilities. If multicultural counseling seeks justice, then serving individuals with disabilities must be an intentional, informed commitment, not an afterthought. It honors God's image in every person, as Williams reminds us. Moving on to the essential elements of counseling individuals with disabilities. There are several essential elements. Counselors must understand to work competently with individuals who have disabilities. Beginning with understanding disability models. There's the moral model, which is disabilities were viewed as punishments or moral failings historically. In some cultures, this still remains a source of shame. Then there's the medical model. The model which views disability as a personal illness or defect to be cured. And then finally, the social model. Disability is understood as arising not from individual defects, but from social, environmental, and structural barriers. The problem is often society's failure to accommodate differences, not the difference itself. Again, why does this matter? Well, because the model we adopt influences whether we see our clients as broken or oppressed by unjust systems, and that could affect counseling goals. This is why it's important that counselors use the social model so that we can understand the social, environmental, and structural barriers and work from a place of reducing those barriers. The second element would be intersectionality. Disabilities rarely exist in isolation. Clients may also experience racism, sexism, or classism. complicating their struggles. Ignoring intersectionality means missing major parts of the client's story. Then there is the next element, strengths based perspective. Instead of viewing disability as a deficiency, counselors should highlight client strengths like resilience, creativity, problem solving, and faith, working from a place of strength, not weaknesses. As research shows, life satisfaction for individuals with disabilities often depends on social support, self efficacy, and meaning making, not on the absence of limitations. The fourth element is communication access. Counselors must make sessions accessible through accommodations like interpreters, large print, and accessible offices. This could be as simple as having a ramp into a building so that they can enter and receive therapy. Also, if you are in a building and your suite it's on the 20th floor per se, you should maybe have elevator access and make it ADA friendly. Ignoring access needs is not only unethical but also reinforces ableism. The fifth element is the counselor being aware of their own attitude. So Sue emphasizes that counselors must reflect deeply on their own biases toward disability. Guilt, pity, discomfort, or lowered expectations can all harm clients if left unaddressed. And moving on to the my agreement or disagreement with the authors, I have strong agreement with Sue framing Sue's framing of disability within a multicultural context. They clearly call counselors to recognize the systemic barriers individuals with disabilities face and challenge ableist assumptions. I also appreciate William's addition. He reminds Christian counselors that justice is not just a social agenda but a biblical command. That being said, working toward justice for marginalized groups, including individuals with disabilities, is part of a faithful Christian witness. However, I would like to say that in Counseling the Culturally Diverse, it discusses systemic oppression, but they do not fully explore spiritual resilience and how faith can shape individuals with disabilities and how it can be more of a strength for them. In the book Grace for the Afflicted, Stanford emphasizes that faith, hope, and spiritual identity can be crucial sources of strength for many clients, especially in the face of chronic illness or physical limitations. In Christian counseling, we must weave together advocacy for social justice and the acknowledgement of spiritual empowerment to really offer a holistic, redemptive view of disability. In conclusion, counseling individuals with disabilities is a crucial component of multicultural counseling because disability intersects with race, poverty, gender, and social injustice. Counselors must be familiar with different models of disability, recognize and dismantle ableist assumptions, affirm client strengths, and ensure accessible and respectful care. Both ACA and AACC ethical codes reinforce these obligations, urging counselors to honor client dignity, agency, and full humanity. As Williams reminds us, counseling for justice must be grounded in truth and grace, reflecting God's heart for all people. Christian counselors, especially, are called to embody hope, compassion, and justice in every client interaction. Ultimately, counseling individuals with disabilities is about empowering clients to live lives of meaning, purpose, and dignity, and that is wholly transformative work, truly.